What does this bag of coffee have to do with climate and biodiversity? For one, coffee is a drink consumed by millions of people on a daily basis, creating a $100 billion per year industry. But someday, this bag of coffee may become a rare commodity due to the effects of climate change. On the other hand, coffee has an unethical side. For instance, it creates vast monocultures for its production, requiring the deforestation of millions of acres of forest, such as where this bag of coffee from Brazil is cultivated at. On, Also, coffee sometimes requires the exploitation of animals for the production of specialty blends. Increasing global demand for coffee also means that more land will need to be cleared for its production. This, coupled with the decline of areas traditionally used to cultivate coffee, will force growers to cut down forests in previously untouched areas, which will in turn cause a massive loss of biodiversity. These new areas that open up for coffee production will provide new growing opportunities for the people who cultivate it. On the other hand, many of the areas where coffee can no longer be grown sustainably will be massively detrimental for the people who rely on coffee production to make a living.
According to Fair Trade Foundation, 80% of the world's coffee is produced by 25 million smallholders, and 125 million people rely on coffee production for their livelihoods. Many of these individuals are located in Central and South America. As climate change continues, agroforestry systems are likely to be exposed to conditions they haven't seen before. This will lead to changing coffee prices, which can be unpredictable. This instability of coffee prices is a threat to these individuals who rely on the coffee industry in order to earn a living. Different regions and types of coffees will be affected differently, but as biodiversity and the industry become more and more threatened, ethics will become an even more important consideration. One example of questionable ethics is the production of Kopi Luwak, the most expensive type of coffee in the world.
Read it. Kopi Luwak is the world's most expensive coffee, though for some it falls under the category of too good to be true. In the Sumatran village where the beans are grown lives a breed of wild tree cat. These cats eat the beans, digest them, and then defecate. The villagers then collect and process the stools. It is the combination of the beans and the gastric juices of the tree cat that give Kopi Luwak its unique flavor and aroma.
This type of coffee was popularized by this scene in the movie The Bucket List. In order to produce this type of coffee, civet cats are kept in captivity in order to harvest and process the coffee beans. As this type of coffee grows in popularity, the wild civet cat population decreases, putting biodiversity at risk. The ethics of Kopi Luwak, including treatment of individual civet cats as well as the impact on biodiversity, should be considered.
While the civet cat is not classified as an endangered species, their populations are being driven down in many parts of Southeast Asia due to poachers who capture them for Kopi Luwak production. While Kopi Luwak may be marketed as a product collected from wild animals, many of the civet cats used in its production are caged and kept on coffee plantations. The civet cats kept on coffee plantations are kept in small cages for the remainder of their lives and force-fed coffee cherries, while the digested beans fall below their cages to be collected later. Due to the replaceability of these animals, their welfare is not usually a large concern of the farmers who use them. The cruel practices associated with Kopi Luwak production have come about largely to keep up with its increasing popularity. Farmers cannot keep up with the demand for Kopi Luwak by foraging on the forest floor anymore, so they began poaching the animals to house on their plantations. The loss of civet cats in many areas has begun to affect the ecosystem. The wild coffee tree population, to a large extent, relies on civet cats to disperse their seeds beyond their immediate vicinity. Due to the decline of civet cats in Southeast Asia, wild coffee trees are losing an important method of dispersal, which could lead to a decline in their biodiversity. The shift to large monocultures in coffee production has many adverse effects on species richness. For instance, it has been shown that coffee plantations that use a traditional shaded approach to planting coffee, where coffee plants are interspersed with trees in a forest, provide a significant increase in species richness as opposed to the monoculture approach, where coffee plants are merely planted in rows in an open field. The method of creating vast monocultures is a new advent in coffee production that has a less sustainable impact on the surrounding environment. Aside from the loss of biodiversity, the creation of coffee monocultures also has an adverse effect on crop yield. It has the ability to deplete the soil if nothing is done.
Climate change and its impact on coffee yield in agroforestry is a major threat to biodiversity in these areas, but there are ways to slow and even reverse the effects. One potential solution is carbon dioxide fertilization. A study in Brazil showed that carbon dioxide fertilization helps to offset the negative effects on coffee yield, specifically Arabica, that's caused by climate change. This study projected, while considering the impact of climate change on these regions, that using fertilizers with high concentrations of carbon dioxide would result in a small net increase in the average coffee yield for Brazilian Arabica in the current growing locations. This could help to reduce the need to increase the growing altitude for Arabica coffee and minimize further deforestation. Another potential solution is intercropping with macaba. Macaba is a palm tree that is prominent in Brazil. Its fruit has many uses such as biofuel production, the food industry, and detergent and cosmetics. Macaba trees reduce maximum air temperature, which is one of the major factors that impact coffee yield. According to a study done in southern Brazil, when intercropped with macaba, coffee yield increased and the macaba trees helped to reverse the impact of high temperatures and low rainfall. Intercropping with macaba trees would be beneficial to farmers because of both the improvement in coffee yield as well as other uses for the tree's fruit.
The negative impacts associated with coffee production can be lessened through strategies such as carbon dioxide fertilization and intercropping with macabas. The ethics of coffee production need to be considered because we need to maintain the long-term integrity of our ecosystem. Also, the production of coffee has a large impact on biodiversity as a whole, including the way that farmers are treated and impacts on animals such as the civet cat. Next time you pour yourself a bag of coffee, consider the impact that it had